Shikanosuke Majima's girlfriend called him unexpectedly last night to break up with him. He spent the night lying awake, and in the morning, he received a message from her. "I will return what I borrowed from you." Maybe this is the last time you will ever see her, so Majima, who just can't give up on her, decides to come up with a plan to somehow turn this situation around. As the appointed time draws near, he waits quietly by himself while getting everything ready, trying to predict the outcome. Then it begins. Majima is wandering around the living room restlessly. He has dark circles under his eyes from lack of sleep. Today is a weekday, but it's winter break. The rest of his family is out, so he's all alone at home. It's almost the end of the year, and perhaps their relationship as well. However, that's not what Majima wants. Just a few minutes ago, he got another message. "I just left the house." Since then, he can't even sit still. He just looks at the clock frequently and bites his thumbnail. He tries to convince himself that God will help him if they're meant to be together, and he just does what he can, but he just can't shake his anxiety. He wishes she'd arrive soon, otherwise he will be exhausted by the time she gets here. Anyway, before she shows up, here's his plan. He thinks the reason why she wants to break up is because he didn't tell her about quitting the club. He has no proof, but that's what he thinks. The club is how they met. His school competed with her school in a practice game, and he was one of the star players. Their relationship started when she confessed her feelings to him. He quit the club just a few days ago. He didn't mean to keep it a secret, but he just felt uncomfortable about telling her. But he could tell she was getting suspicious because he was going home early a lot lately. A secret can drive a wedge between people. He knew this all along, so his plan is to tell her the truth sincerely. He just has to tell her the truth. Sorry for not telling you this until now. First, he should apologize meekly. Then he should follow with his sincere feelings. When she gets emotional and starts crying, that's the cue to ask for forgiveness. That's the plan. He has made her cry before. He's confident that he can carry out the plan calmly, even when she gets emotional. Things are easy when a girl gets emotionally moved. Not that he has much experience, but there's no doubt in his mind about that. Majima desperately tries to convince himself, but her voice on the phone last night sounded serious. Her tone told him her mind was made up. If she has her mind made up, can she really change it in this situation? It must be possible. Majima is extremely confident. Or maybe he's putting up a bluff. His hands are shaking. He realizes it himself, and he's going to use the lack of sleep as an excuse. He can't control his emotions well because he didn't sleep last night, but maybe that will help him act boldly. Then there's a sound from the doorbell. It's her. He mustn't act impatiently. He goes to the front door at a normal pace. When he opens the door, she steps in cautiously. "Come in. There's something I need to tell you." Majima wears a nice smile, but he is a nervous wreck on the inside. At this point, she might show reserve. "That's okay. This is fine. When I'm done, I'll be going." Something like that. When he was going over each step in his head earlier, there were so many questions at this point. If she doesn't answer clearly, then that means there is an opportunity and he mustn't waste the chance. Majima waits anxiously for her response.
Sure.
What? She accepts unexpectedly and steps into the house. She proceeds into the room casually. Majima feels a little disappointed as he leads her to his room, but he continues with his plan. He sits her down on the pillow and chats for a little while, then broaches the main subject. He tells her casually, yet sincerely, that he quit the tennis club. Then it's time for her response.
Oh, is that so?
She drinks the juice on the table without changing her manner. What? Majima can't help but feel disturbed. If this was a comic, this would be an extreme close-up scene. But she acts absolutely normal. She isn't even paying attention to what he just said. What's going on? If she doesn't show some kind of reaction, negative, surprised, or something, there's nothing he can do. And I'm only good at tennis, and you told me that you like me playing tennis. So, I don't know how to put this. This unexpected situation is making Majima uncertain, but he tries to fill out her emotion.
Huh? What? It doesn't matter to me what club you're in, Majima.
She shows her normal smile. Oh, okay then. Well then, I don't need to worry about that. Majima can't hide his disturbance. He never even thought he'd get this reaction from her. According to the plan, she would have gotten a little emotional by this time. But he continued talking about his feelings, even adding some memories to make her cry. But in this friendly chatting situation, even emotional memories won't do much. Even so, he gives it a shot.
Say, do you remember when...
His fears were spot on. She is full of smiles listening to our memories. If this is how things are going, then quitting the club has nothing to do with the breakup. It isn't even an issue. Majima was completely wrong. Anyway, according to the plan, she's supposed to be at her emotional climax by now, and he's supposed to ask her bravely to stay with him. But the plan has already collapsed. Saying something like that in this situation is absolutely out of place. It's obvious. Should he continue with his original plan? Majima decides to go through with it all the way. Charging full steam ahead is all he can think of right now. How brave. Just like an army officer. Well, you know, if you don't mind, would you still go out with me? Well, that is, be my girlfriend again? He says it far from bravely. He doesn't sound as calm or forceful as he planned. Majima is obviously frightened. She thinks for a moment. She's taking rather long. Maybe that means...
I'm sorry, I can't go out with you anymore.
Reality is hard. Majima was expecting this response, but he still feels chills down his spine when he hears her say it. So this is what being dumped feels like. However, since she had to think so long, he still believes there's a chance. She was too sweet to answer right away. That's it. She knew the answer right away, of course. Stop! Don't even go any further. He ignores his better judgment screaming at him and asks one more time. Her reaction is different this time. She answers without delay.
Sorry, no matter what we do, I don't think we're meant for each other. I don't know exactly, but I think little things add up, and that's what made me feel this way. Our personalities and other stuff, you know? I just don't think it can work.
Those are some fatal words. Little things add up? Not going to work? Those are important words. It doesn't help that she's being vague. If there are specific issues, they can be solved, but if they are rather vague, then what's there to do? Ramen noodles are too greasy. This can be solved, just get less greasy ramen. I don't know why, I just don't like ramen. What about that problem? How can you convince someone to eat ramen if they say that? Actually, I don't want ramen. That's it. As long as Majima is himself, it's impossible. That's what this means. Majima knew this from the beginning. When she showed no reaction to his confession about the club, he was convinced that she had absolutely no interest in him anymore. She doesn't care if he continues to play tennis. That's why there was no reaction. There's no use. But even if he knows there is nothing else to do, he just has to do this. They both know that's just him. The other party is simply thinking of him, and that's why she chose certain words to express her feelings. But that's not good enough for him. He dares to make her say it in a more direct way. Can you tell me more specifically? At what point did you start to feel this way? So, is this what you mean? One by one, such cruel questions come out of Majima's mouth. Of course, her response is prickly.
You assume everyone has a dark side just because you do. You pretend to think of other people, but in fact you're only thinking about yourself. You may be saying the right things in theory, but you say things you shouldn't say. You change your mind on a whim, even about important things. The bottom line is, you don't have a heart.
He knows these are his flaws, but it sounds so different hearing it from someone else's mouth. She actually says quite a bit more, but to save time and to spare his feelings, no more needs to be said. Oh, I see. I understand. It seemed like she wanted to say more, but that was already more than enough. Majima is forced to accept the absolute truth without listening to the end. He shows a faked smile, but he can't hide the damage. The shock from his failed plan, also listening to his flaws, has made him groggy. But, you know, Wasn't there some good stuff? He tried, but she's thinking really hard.
There were some good memories. You were so sweet, but...
She falls silent. That's okay. Sorry. Majima withdraws his question, then takes a deep breath and bows. Thank you very much for everything until now. His meek attitude confuses her.
Well, thank you for everything, too.
They're both bowing down, sitting on their knees and putting their heads almost to the floor. They look like they just finished a shogi match.